Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. In this video we will discuss an approach of language teaching. In applied linguistics we have different approaches of language teaching. So in this video we will discuss structural approach. It is also known as structure, oral or situational approach. Uh, from structural approach it is apparently it means that the structure, and actually it means the structure of the sentence. Like, we do not focus on the words and vocabularies, but we focus on the structure of the sentences. And what is the structure of a sentence? The arrangement of words in a proper way to convey a meaning according to its grammatical category. Like, grammatically, the sentences must be accurate. So, in this method, the teachers who teach language, any language, but here we specifically describe English language while teaching English language, when the structure is more important than the acquisition of vocabulary, since is important and unique about a language. Every language has its structure, and definitely it's unique also. So grammatical structures, phonological. So the purpose of the teacher to apply structural approach in a class is to equip the students with the knowledge of structure of the sentences. Uh, in this video, when we go further, it will be quite easy to understand what this structural approach is and how do we apply this structural approach in our own classes. So, briefly, you can say that we will focus only on the arrangement of the words in specific grammatical way. In simple words, while teaching in your class or studying in school level, we say that there is subject, verb, and object in English sentences. So this subject, verb, and object, the famous sentence that I go to college or I go to university, there is a subject, there is a verb, and there is an object. So the small sentence, this is called the structural approach, because the teacher, he starts teaching while having simple sentences that the students, they can easily understand. So let's move forward. In this approach, what the learners they get, the learners get the benefits to have benefit to learn the pattern of the sentences, because there are many patterns of the sentences, many structures of the sentences. We cannot say that there is any limited or confined number of sentences. So it is always productive. Productive means the sentences are multiplied. From one sentence we can make many sentences. Arrangements of the words in the form structures. There are different arrangements of the words. Like, you can say that if I say Ahmed is here, one sentence, and then I say here is Ahmed, another sentence. So the words are same, but their places, their arrangement is changed according to their arrangements are changed, but they are grammatically not incorrect. They are not grammatically incorrect, but actually they are correct. Like, Ahmed is here or here is Ahmed. Through scientific selection and grading of the structures, again the same thing, that although one thing it must be clear here, that when we say that we do not focus on vocabulary, it doesn't mean that we completely set aside or completely forgot about vocabulary, because when we say that the arrangement of the words in a sequence, then the words are actually vocabulary. So how can we make sentences? We can make with the words, the simple words that the learners they have learned. So from those words we try to teach them the different structures. So do not be confused that vocabulary is completely missing in this approach. Without vocabulary we cannot make sentences. But the focus in this approach is completely on the structures and arrangement of the words in a way that they are understandable, they are easy, and there is no grammatical error. Then we have, again it is written that language structure is more important than vocabulary. It doesn't mean that vocabulary is set aside or vocabulary is completely forgotten. It means that uh, the teacher who is teaching in the class, the structure of the sentence or language, when he is teaching language, so his focus is more on the arrangement of the words, that the simple words, how can they be arranged in different forms, in different patterns, where the learner they can communicate in the target language. As I have written this sentence here, I am innocent. Yes, you can say that this sentence I wrote about my own personality, because I feel I am innocent. So let's talk about this sentence. I am innocent, innocent, one word. Am I innocent? Second word. The same three words, they have been rearranged. The, the structure is changed, the meaning is also changed, but both the sentences, they are grammatically correct. And then there is innocent, is there innocent. So as I told you that he's Ahmed is here or here is Ahmed, so there are different patterns. You can simply say that direct and indirect form, the narration form, passive and active form, negatives, interrogatives, simple sentences. The simple sentences where we start, these all are forms of the structural approach. So in one way we can say that in our schools in Pakistan we start studying this structural approach from class 1. Many years ago it started from class 5, class 6, when English was compulsory subject in class 6, but nowadays it starts from class 1 even in government school. So we start learning passive actives from day 1, we start learning narration, direct and indirect from day 1, we start learning simple, negative, interrogative sentences from class 1. Class 1 means 1, 2, 3, 4 from the beginning of our learning. We do not focus only on KG and class 1 and class 2, but as we move on, we start learning at initial level of our school. These all the methods applied by the teachers in our schools, they are called structural approach. In simple words, or more convenient way or more easy way you can understand in this way, that whatever the structures that we have learned, different patterns of tenses, direct and indirect, passive actives and all others, they are the forms of structural approach. Again, what is the meaning of the structure? The arrangement of meaningful words in meaningful way. Yes, it should be the words should be meaningful and they must be arranged in a meaningful way. Unless and until the words and the structures they convey a proper meaning, we cannot say that the purpose of communication is accomplished or it is completed. To have purpose of communication, we must have meaningful words and their arrangement should be in a meaningful way. Then we have types of structure. We have sentence structure, a simple sentence structure that you can all of us we know that is subject, verb and object, the simple English sentence structure. But here we will use subject and predicate. They are fixed in a sentence because the subject, it has to qualify for the rest of the sentence. Like you can say that if I say I saw a woman who was crossing the road, so I is a subject and the woman who was crossing the road and all the rest of the sentence is the predicate. So there must be an agreement between the subject and the rest of the sentence. If there is no agreement here, means that it should be understandable, it should be in a sequence of a meaningful pattern. We cannot like if I say that some hyperbole sentences like a man flying in the air, I mean once you listen a sentence from a person that the man is flying in the air, so one thing comes in mind that he must be in an aeroplane or he must be in an air balloon. But once he says that the man without aeroplane and without air balloon with the magic flying in the air, so definitely we will all get confused and we will all started thinking about the sentence. But when we say that the man is eating, no one will care about it, everyone will accept it, because there is an agreement of subject and verb. Agreement here means that it should be in an understandable way. Whenever it is it is against the patterns, it is against the human approach, or it is against the mind of the human. It cannot be, it cannot be done, it cannot be said. Okay, sir. Phrase structure, again we say that group of words convey meaning without being a sentence. Phrase and clause, you must have come across it about in your school level, college, in university, then in higher classes, that there is a difference between phrase and structure. Phrase is a combination of one, two, or more words not arranged in the form of a sentence. But clause is a clause is actually a sentence. The arrangement of the words in a sentence, that is called clause. Like phrase, I say Friday afternoon. Friday afternoon, there is no verb, there is no modal auxiliary. Friday afternoon is not a sentence. It will be a phrase. So one or two or three words that they are not arranged in a pattern of sentence, then we call it a sentence structure. Sorry, we call it a phrase structure. So in phrase we have fixed places. As I say that Ahmed is here and here is Ahmed. We can rearrange the words in a meaningful way. But when we talk about phrases, phrase structure, it means that they have the fixed places. Friday afternoon means Friday afternoon. We cannot say afternoon Friday. In phrase structures, we cannot change the sequence of the words or the places of the words. They are fixed. And phrases are not complete sentences. They cannot convey a proper meaning standing alone. Although some of the phrases they convey meaning some of the times, but they cannot be declared sentences or proper forms to convey meaning. But clauses are actually small sentences. Clauses are sentences that convey meaning. That is the difference between phrase and clause. So in phrase structure, a group of words convey meaning without being a sentence. Like they are not sentences, but they convey a proper meaning. Then we have idiomatic structure, the idioms that we study in our FSC, then BA, then MA, in all these classes, specifically till BA. In our English compulsory courses, there are idioms like blue blood, like Aladdin's lamp, like jack of all trades, like a tongue in the cheek. Like there are many hundreds of idiomatic phrases. So idiomatic phrases, they convey a proper meaning, but they are not sentences, they are not even phrases. Even if we cannot, in the same way as we cannot change the place of the words in phrases, in the same way we cannot change the places of the words in an idiom. So there is no requirement of grammar. When we say that, let's say for example, one idiom, Achilles heel. Achilles heel means the weakest point of a very strong thing or a very strong person. You might have watched the famous movie, Hollywood movie, Troy. There is a hero of in Greek mythology, in Greek war, a great warrior according to Greek mythology. They say his name was Achilles. And he was so powerful in all the wars. When you watch the movie, I recommend all of you must watch it. I believe all of you must have watched it. If somebody is left, you must watch it. At the end, he was so powerful, he was so intelligent in war affairs that nobody could harm him in the wars, in any battle or any war. He was, you can say, the supreme warrior in Greek army. But at the end, when he died, the first arrow that hit his body, it hit on his heel, on his foot, ankle, like on the heel. And a very weak person, the prince of the Troy, who threw an arrow, and that suddenly it stabbed in his heel. So that's why that is the story of one idiom, that how we call it an Achilles heel. In the same way, many of the idioms, they have their history. So we cannot say heel Achilles. It is Achilles heel, so Achilles heel. It cannot be rearranged. It cannot be changed. There no need of grammar to explain it. All the idioms, they have their own history. And when we read the meanings of the idiomatic phrases, the literal meanings are completely different. And the meaning that is conveyed by an idiomatic phrase, they are completely different. So This thing you must keep in your mind about idioms, idiomatic phrases. All of you must have read many of the idioms. So whatever the idioms are in structural approaches, they are idiomatic phrases where we do not need any grammar, and we cannot change the places of the words in idiomatic phrases. Then the last one is routine structure. Routine structure means the daily routine sentences that we speak, that we get up early in the morning, from dawn to dusk, from morning to evening, whatever the daily needs, the daily routine sentences are, when they are taught, that is called again the routine structures in structural approach. So there are different patterns, like four types of structures that a teacher can teach in the class while teaching structural approach or structures of the sentences, that is sentence structure, phrase structure, idiomatic structure, and then routine structure. Then we have principle of selecting structure for teaching. Like if you are a teacher, you are teaching in a class and you have to teach the structure of the sentence, then how would you start teaching in your class? First, keep in your mind that if you put yourself in the place of a teacher, as a grammar teacher, you want to teach structure of the sentences in the class. So what kind of sentences that you will teach at initial level, at the beginning? So first of all, you will use useful sentences, that the sentences, first of all, that they are very useful for the learners. Like the teacher must not engage the students, the learners, in very complicated or complex sentence structures, but the structures that are very useful for the learners, that they get a motivation to learn those structures because they need it, they are useful for them. Then we have productivity. Productivity means that one sentence can be rearranged into many forms. As I told you, Ahmed is here and here is Ahmed. The words are changed, but the meaning is same. The words are changed, grammatical category is correct, and the meaning is also the same, but these are the two different structures. This is called productivity. Productivity means to produce more than one sentences from the same structure. So this is called productivity. Then we have simplicity. Like certainly if a good teacher is teaching in a class, if we start teaching with some complex sentences or complex sentence structures, definitely it will be useless for the students. To teach them in a proper way, they must teach them the simple sentences. There should be simplicity in the structures, like as I told you, subject, verb, and object. Then teachability, definitely the lessons and the sentence structures that can easily be teachable in the class, like they are accepted by the learners, and the teacher have good command on those structure that he is teaching in the class. And that is all these things. I mean, if someone from you is a teacher, or wants to be a teacher, or you might have learned many classes in your school, in your college, in your university. So these are the simple approaches. I mean, these terms are not very difficult. These are the approaches that are adopted by the teachers. Like the sentences should be simple. They start from simple sentences. They start teaching the sentences that they are linked to the daily routine of the students. They have usefulness, they have the productivity. So to tell the students that they must not be fixed to a specific one sentence, they can rearrange the words to produce another sentence. And there should be simplicity, and there should be teachability. Then we have principles of selecting structure for teaching. What are the principles for a teacher to teach structures? How to select a particular structure to teach in a class? That frequency. The sentences, first of all, must be the sentences should be selected that they have more frequency of occurrence, that they are happening in your life again and again. If they are happening in your life, they are the more suitable sentences for the learners. Then we have range, in how many contexts it is applicable, that in different contexts we apply different structure, like in one context, then in another, then in another. Like we are talking to our parents, we use respect, the sentences with respect. We ask a teacher that, may I come into your class, with respect. But when we are talking to our friend, we say, can I come into your class? So this is something the applicability of the sentences, that how the sentences they are applicable. Not sorry, it's not applicability, it's applicable. Then we have coverage, a word covering a number of meanings, like meals. Like we teach a word that has different meanings and it can be used in different forms. Like we have pair of words like bank and bank. The two words, but they are different. One is the side of a river, and one is a building where we deposit our money. So the coverage of the sentences that covering a number of meanings. The words, the sentences should be used that they have different meanings. Then we have learnability. Teachers should focus on the items they are easy. Definitely, teachability and learnability are the same. The teacher must teach the structures that they are easy, and the teacher must adopt or must pick up the sentences that are easy for the learners, that they are not difficult. So in simple words we can say about this principles of structure and principles of selecting structure, that in short, in brief, we can say in structural approach a teacher must use simple sentences, useful for the learners, easy for the teacher to teach, and the sentences that have more occurrence in the daily lives of the student. If a teacher start teaching directly from very complex sentences, then definitely the learner will be less motivated, and ultimately the target will not be achieved within the given time, and maybe the frustration level and the anxiety level of the student increases, and most of the learners they quit the language learning classes. So simplicity should be adopted by the teacher as far as the selecting of the structures are concerned. Then we have Professor FG, Principle of Structural Approach. Again the same thing. FG French has entitled, these are the following principles. First of all, importance of framing language habits. Like first of all, the students they must be taught that how to frame good habits about a language, how to develop good habits about language to learn it. Then importance of speech, definitely that how much importance of speech is effective use of speech. Like while having conversation with someone, while having communication with someone, how much your words and how much your sentences they matter. So first of all, the importance of the language in simple sentences, you can say that the importance of the language and importance of the sentence structure must be taught to the learners. Then activity of the students, importance of students activity, definitely it is again important. Then we have oral work is the basis and the rest are built up from it. That whatever the work has been assigned, it start from your communication, and rest of the things they start moving after that. Then we have the last one, principles of structural approach. Each language has its own grammar, definitely, but Chomsky says that there is a universal grammar, that all the languages they are same. That is another topic in our descriptive linguistics. But definitely, as we say, I go to university. I subject, go verb, and university object. Subject, verb, and object. In Urdu we say मैं यूनिवर्सिटी जाता हूँ. मैं subject, university object, and जाता हूँ verb. So this is the a basic change of structure in the every language has its own pattern of structure and pattern of grammar. Like English have subject verb object, and we have subject object and verb, subject object and verb in English, SVO and SOV. SVO in English and SOV in Urdu. Different types of meaningful situation, facial expressions, actions, your body gestures, that how can we apply these body gestures in communication and learning a language. One item of language is taught at one time. Definitely this is the most important point in structural approach, that if a teacher is teaching in the class, he is teaching one approach, one structure of a sentence. If he starts mixing the sentences, then the target will again not be achieved. The student will not learn it more effectively, because if someone is teaching in simple words, if someone is teaching present indefinite tense He or she must restrict to present indefinite tense. If we start switching from present indefinite to passive, passive to active, active to narration, and giving irrelevant examples to the students, then definitely the motivation level of the students, it will be decreased, minimized, or reduced. And mastery of the structure is emphasized, that the students, the purpose of adopting sentence structure is that uh, the importance, the stress is on the having a mastery or having a competence or having a strong grip on the structure. If you have any questions about this approach, you can post your questions in comment section.